There's been so much talk lately about the idea of game company acquisitions, buying studios, buying publishers, and really this does come down to Sony versus Microsoft, where Xbox is buying things like Bethesda and now even Activision to get locked down on things like Call of Duty. We've seen the same thing from Sony themselves, buying, of course, Bungie, and even before that, things like Blue Point Games to make great remakes in the future. But now there is a rumor that seems to have just slipped. Right now, PAX East 2023 is going down, and it seems like Square Enix may have just tipped their hat a bit and sort of hinted at a possible buyout by Sony. But let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So today was supposed to be my day off. I've just been chilling, walking on the treadmill, playing some Final Fantasy VII on my Switch while trying to burn some calories, of course. And during the course of that, I was listening to the PAX East live stream. Most of the stuff, to be brutally honest, was not particularly interesting. Most of the games showing, most of the talk, most of the screenshots, not really my cup of tea. But finally we got to the epicness of the Final Fantasy XVI presentation, where the director of the game, Yoshi P himself, what is often considered to be the god of Final Fantasy right now, this guy is in charge of so much of the Final Fantasy that we love. I mean, he is truly the King of Kings. Well, he started to drop some very important info about the game itself, including the 3 different eras the game takes place in, where we're going to have the main character Clive as a teenager, in his 20s, and in his 30s. We got a completely new cutscene, which I gotta be honest, this looks so good. I'm a big fan of Chocobos. The game world looks truly spectacular. Getting to play decades of Clive's life in a singular game seems like such an interesting aspect, but there's one part of it that sort of stuck out to me, which is at one point they started to talk about the power of the PlayStation 5, how these graphics are even doable, and they said this.
And of course, we cannot forget graphics. Our team has worked very hard to create this unparalleled visual experience that's only possible with the power of the PlayStation 5.
You are Square Enix?
I'm Square Enix, not Sony.
Not Sony?
Not Sony.
Oh, it's okay.
We love you, Sony. The power of the PlayStation 5. And of course,
now it's important to note, this is Yoshi P on the left. As you see, let me get a good clip. So this is Yoshi P sitting on the right side here. Major guy, obviously. But on the other side, this guy, Koji Fox, is a translator who does a lot of work, not just translating games, but being a translator for the Final Fantasy teams. This guy is a genius. He has been deeply integral to localization, making sure that jokes land. I think he's even actually composed some music for Final Fantasy XIV. Both these guys on stage, truly multi-talented geniuses beyond measure. So this joke, to me, is very interesting, where he keeps hyping up the power of the PlayStation 5. Yoshi P, throughout this entire presentation, keeps talking about the fact that this is only possible on the PlayStation 5. I mean, the game does look absolutely fantastic. They kept saying, captured on PlayStation 5, made for the PlayStation 5, only doable on the PlayStation 5. People are sort of taking this immediately as an indication of a possible buyout. Sony definitely seems to want Final Fantasy to be on lockdown forever. We've already seen that with a lot of exclusive games coming to the PlayStation from Square Enix, but there have been some very big rumors that Square Enix themselves is trying to consolidate. They want to be bought by Sony, and in order to do that, they're trying to make themselves as easy to purchase as possible. Now, you'll remember late last year, we saw them sell off $330 million of their own assets. This article's math is a little bit off, but you can easily look into it. Essentially, Square Enix sold off a lot of their old brands, stuff like Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics, a lot of that further outreach stuff that people don't think about as Final Fantasy brand. Deus Ex. They sold that to Embracer Group. Now, why would they do this? In my opinion, they're doing this to become a lot easier to consume. The biggest lesson I think we're learning from this Activision deal with Microsoft is that buying a company for billions and billions of dollars is a very, very time-intensive thing. It's not just about lawyers negotiating contracts. It is about governments having to approve it. And if Square Enix is smaller, it's going to make that paperwork probably a lot faster. But also, I do think it's important to note how much Square Enix is currently worth. So this article actually came out in 2022, January 2022. So this is before they consolidated some. So this number is probably a little bit off. I still think that Square Enix is probably worth about 5.5 billion, maybe 6 billion. The weirdest part about market cap value estimations is that you're kind of buying how big their next game is going to be. You know, like if you're buying a game studio, you're not buying it for the stuff they've already finished. You're buying it for the future stuff they're going to finish for you. So Square Enix is definitely probably pretty valuable coming up on the release of Final Fantasy 16, which in my opinion, from what I've heard, seems to be the most hyped game of the entire world right now, you know, other than of course Resident Evil 4 Remake. So if they buy it, why have they not bought it already? That's a question I keep seeing people say is like, okay, clearly Square Enix is already working very, very, very closely. Square Enix is only making PlayStation games pretty much right now. Other than some of their stuff, obviously Octopath Traveler came to the Nintendo Switch and to the PC. But why would they buy it now? I think the biggest cause of hesitation from Sony comes down again to that major Xbox deal. During the entire Activision Blizzard fiasco, Sony kept saying a single big argument. They kept claiming Microsoft is too big. Microsoft is too powerful. We can't fight back. If they buy Call of Duty, it's going to crush us. I think that legally, while they were making those arguments, I don't think that they wanted to buy anything. You know, Sony wanted to try and be as tiny and careful and quiet as possible. But now that the deal is done, I think we're going to see Sony start to buy stuff up again. I don't know if it's going to end up being Capcom. I don't know if it's going to end up being Square Enix. I think the biggest case against buying Square Enix, at least in my mind, is that so much stuff is already exclusive. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard means that like future Diablo games will be Xbox exclusive. World of Warcraft is going to be on Game Pass. So objectively, mathematically, that is a good deal across the board for their financials. Whereas in a weird way, Square Enix is already selling everything on the PlayStation. A lot of their stuff is already exclusive. I don't feel like it's going to spike console sales of the PlayStation 5 if those can never ever come to Xbox. These are just some off-the-cuff thoughts from me though, because I do kind of think that was a fun slip-up. Yoshi P has messed up in the past and accidentally said release dates. He's accidentally mentioned betas before he was supposed to. He has tipped off class elements and stuff in Final Fantasy XIV before the embargo was up. Yoshi P is a man who works a lot, and sometimes he says things he's not technically supposed to. But what do you guys think about this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and please keep dreaming and subscribe. You see this? My friend dyed my hair red. I'm extra ginger. Can I zoom in? Look how ginger I am. Look at this. Oh my god. Oh my god, look how red that is. I gotta shave my head. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.